Hello friends, how are you doing? My name is Olivia and this is my YouTube channel, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Today's video is going to be a cross stitch update video. There's going to be a tiny little bit of quilting that I'm going to talk about. So if you enjoy one or both of those subjects, I hope that you will consider sticking around. Today's video is being recorded on Monday, November 11th, which is Veterans Day here in the US. So if you are a veteran, thank you so very much for your service. Another reason why I'm recording on Monday is because tomorrow is my birthday and I made plans to go into Portland. A couple of weeks ago, my daughter came home and asked if I knew that there was a place in Portland called the Vintage Mall. I had never heard about it. I immediately went online to find out what it was and definitely wanted to check out. So when my husband asked what I wanted to do today, I told him I wanted to go to the Vintage Mall in Portland. If you guys have ever been there, of course, by the time you see today's video, I will have already been there. But if you are local in the Pacific Northwest, Portland area, if you've been to the Vintage Mall, what did you think about it? I'm excited to go check it out from the photos that I saw on Instagram and then online. It looks like a really fun place. Lots to see. It is near to OMSI, so if you're familiar with Portland, it's on the other side of the river and somewhere in that big industrial area. So I'm really excited to check it out. And if there is time, I'm hoping to convince my husband to go to my favorite antique store in Aurora. So I hope it'll be a fun day. It's supposed to rain. We're supposed to get tons and tons of rain this week. So hopefully it's not too soggy out. But that doesn't stop true Oregonians. I mean, rain is nothing to us. It's all the other weathers that, we don't know how to handle. But anyway, I'm really excited to go and check it out. And I hope it'll be a good day. Okay, so when we last met, it was October. Halloween was sitting on the horizon. October is now over. It went by in a blink of an eye. And I will confess that a few days before Halloween rolled around on my day off, I took all of the Halloween down and I decorated for Thanksgiving/autumn. I've never done that before, but I didn't want to wait until the beginning of November, until basically yesterday, to decorate, because this time of the year, it goes by so fast and I want to be able to enjoy all of the Thanksgiving autumn decor that I have for a little while. So I took everything down, which was very alien to me, and put up all of my Thanksgiving and pumpkin everything. And I'm just so pleased with how everything turned out this year. I've been scaling back kind of more and more. When the kids were little, I used to fill every nook and cranny with all sorts of stuff, and I've definitely been, making that change into the more primitive vibe that I like. So the quilt hanging up behind me is called Pumpkin Patch, and it is by Rhonda McRae. The magazine that it came out of was the Primitive Quilts and Projects Fall 2014 edition. And if I'm not correct on that, I'll make sure to put the correct information down below in the description box. I was supposed to do my notes for today's video yesterday and I ended up quilting, so I didn't do that. And then when I was done quilting, I was stitching and listening to an audiobook and having a grand old time and not being responsible and doing the notes for today's video. So for everything that I show in today's video, I will list it down below in the description box. If you're at all curious, if there's links that need to be linked to any of it, I will definitely put that down below. I would like to apologize for my sweet baby Freddie, who you can most likely hear in the background of the video. He's on the couch and he's wrestling with the pillows. And I'm just gonna let him do it because earlier he was chewing his bone very enthusiastically. So it was kind of a trade-off. I just waited till he was done chewing on his bone and he wrestles with the pillows on the couch. So I apologize for that. He will settle down soon. He always does this at the beginnings of every video. And about 15 minutes in, he will go into the other room and just kind of take a nap. I'm not going to talk too much today about the quilt hanging up behind me because I did do a QuiltyTube video a couple of weeks ago. I will link that down below where I talk a little bit more about the quilt hanging up behind me, as well as all of the autumn quilts that I have around the house. So if you're at all interested, definitely go and check that out. But all of the decor behind me changed into autumn, Thanksgiving. I absolutely love how it turned out this year. I love having this bookcase or cabinet behind me. I've had a blast, you know, trying to figure out how to style it and decorate it. I know I kept it a little bit on the minimal side, but I think it turned out really, really good. And I'm still learning how to decorate, do all of that. I honestly don't know how to do any of it. So I wing it. I try to take inspiration from Pinterest, get ideas of how I can style things. And so I'm definitely still learning, but I really, really love how it turned out this year. And I've just been enjoying it for the past week. So for today's video, I don't have as much stitching progress to share and show. I spent all but 2 days of October working on one project, was able to complete that project on Halloween, and then October 1st I started a project and was able to complete that in a couple of days. Then I started another new project, and that is Thomas by Notforgotten Farms. So this is one that has been on my to be stitched list for a very long time. I always envy other stitchers when they show it completed or when they work on it, because it's one that I have wanted to work on for a really long time. So when I was thinking about projects that I wanted to work on during the autumn season, ones that I wanted to try to get done before Thanksgiving, this one jumped to the top of my list. And on November 4th, I was able to start it. So this is the progress that I've made so far. I've worked on it. I started November 4th, and I've pretty much worked exclusively on it, except for last night I worked on his eye on the Sparrow. But tonight I plan on working on this, and I'm going to continue working on it until he is done. I've had an absolute blast working on this project. I love working on primitive style turkeys, and I just really love working on this one. So I'm stitching Thomas on a piece of 36 count parchment by Weeks Dye Works, and I'm stitching it with the called for DMC threads and stitching it 1/2. So I definitely have little pockets of fill-in that I need to do. And what I've been doing is I will go work on an area, and when I finish that area, I'll jump down and put in a couple of lines of background stitching. But I love working on this little guy, and I cannot wait to get him finished. I think I have a frame that's gonna work out perfect, but I hesitate to say anything because the last time I had a frame that I thought would work out perfect, it didn't end up getting cut. Like, there were some issues with the cut of it. I don't know what happened, but I ended up having to go and then purchase a frame. So I hesitate to say anything because I think that frame will be perfect for him, but I don't want to like put that out in the universe. So love working on Thomas. He is such a blast, and I cannot wait to get him finished. I feel like once I get Thomas done, the rest of the project will go really, really quickly. So I love it. So last night I started beginning to work on his tail feathers. There's a lot of stitching in each one of those feathers, but he's gonna look spectacular when he's done. I can't wait. So you'll have to forgive the lighting in today's video. There is a big black cloud that's kind of moved its way over the top of the house. I don't remember if I mentioned this at the beginning of the video because I stop and start that a bunch, but here in the Pacific Northwest, we're supposed to get several atmospheric rivers, and one of them is due to come over today. And right before I started the video, I could see off in the distance there was just a very black cloud making its way this way, and it's now went over the top, and it, you know, so the lighting in this room, I mean, the house has a very dark interior. This room's actually the brightest room out of all of them, and so you know it's pretty dark outside when this room is dark. But there's nothing I can do about it. So hopefully, you know, it's just not blowing everything out. Anyway, so yesterday I was going through the Mocking Basket of Whips. This is the time of the year where I kind of sit down and I think about what I want to see accomplished next year, because it kind of takes me a little while to fine tune everything. And this project sort of fell out of the Mocking Basket of Whips. And when I went to go look to see the last time I'd worked on it, it was in September. And I couldn't believe that that much time had passed since I had picked it up. And that is Heartstring Samplery, His Eye on the Sparrow. And I'm working on this project with my friend Michelle. I immediately sent her a text message because I could not believe it had been so long since I had worked on it. She also said she had not been working on it either. And so we decided to begin again working on it. And so the Sundays going forward, unless something, you know, changes, life, what have you, will be Sparrow Sundays once again. So after dinner was over, I picked Sparrow up, loaded it into my Q snap, and I stitched that horse right here. And the plan originally had been to stitch the horse and then maybe one other motif. And I was working on the horse, I was listening to a new audiobook, paying attention probably more to the audiobook than I was my stitching. Usually it just becomes kind of like listening to a TV show. I can just pop them in and then listen, and then, you know, I'm still able to count and do all of that. But it was a really good book, and I wasn't paying as good attention as I probably should have been. And the horse started to look a little wonky, and I realized I'd made a counting error, so I pretty much had to unpick a good bit of the horse before I found my mistake. So by the time I unstitched and then restitched the horse, it was time to set it aside for the evening. But I'm looking forward to getting back to this on Sunday. I already have it in my calendar, ready to go. I'm not going to neglect him again because I just absolutely love this project, and I would love to see it done in the next couple of years. So I am stitching His Eye on the Sparrow on a piece of 40 count One More Reproduction by Be Stitch Me, and I am using the called for threads, stitching it 1/2. The house in the middle is stitched with Gentle Arts Mulberry, which is one of the called for threads, and the windows are stitched in Fisherman's Wharf, as well as the door. So I love it. I'm so happy that it somehow fell out of the Mocking Basket of Whips. Maybe it was the basket itself telling me I needed to get back to this one. But I felt awful when I looked to see the last time I'd stitched on it and realized I had neglected it for about a month and a half. So that definitely was not my intention with this one. But luckily, Michelle and I are both back to stitching on our sparrows, and I am ecstatic. I started off November with a new start and an almost immediate finish, which made me feel very accomplished. It comes from Plum Street Samplers, a bowl full of scaries, Scary 2. And I think I shared this in my last video that this was one that I was wanting to start and get finished before Thanksgiving. So I'm super happy that I was able to meet that goal. So I started stitching it on November 1st and I finished it the evening of November 3rd, and I loved working on it so much. I stitched it on a piece of 36 count grandma slip by XJUDesigns, and I used all of the called for threads, and I stitched it 1/2. And I like there's still a little bit left, so I could potentially find 2 more projects to stitch on this piece. But I had a blast, and I'm gonna finish it. I haven't decided yet if I want to finish it into a small for the trench bowl or if I want to frame this, and then it would be something that would sit maybe up here instead of the one that's there. I haven't decided. I feel like when it comes to the trench wool, that's what I need to focus on. So it's possible that I will just go ahead and finish this into a little small, and that's where it will go. But I loved working on it so much. Such a fun project. And I don't think that I will have time between now and when I go back to work to fully finish it, but definitely maybe next week. That can be a project that I sit down and work on. I just want to make sure that before, so all of this is going to stay up until after Thanksgiving, and then on the Sunday that I have off after Thanksgiving, I'm going to take the house apart and put up Christmas. And I just want to make sure that before I do all of that, that my Scary 2 is totally fully finished, and then that way it's ready to go next year when I decorate. In my last video, I was in the middle of working on Autumn 1831 by Samplers Notforgotten. I started this on October 1st with my friend Christine of Hollis Hands Creates, and I had an absolute blast stitching it with her. I will admit that as the month went on, there were some days where I would get home and I was just mentally exhausted, and I only was able to sit down for maybe a half an hour to work on it. And as the day sort of inched towards Halloween, I was really worried that I would not make the goal of finishing this by Halloween. I did not want to carry it over into the next month, but if I had to, I would. I neglected all other projects. No assignment stitching was done. I did not work on Sarah Stewart Hardman. I just focused on this project for the entire month of October. And I was able, thankfully, to finish it at 11:15 p.m., October 31st. And here it is. So I, again, had an absolute blast stitching with Christine. I hope we are able to work on another project again. So she was just the best stitching partner, and I had an absolute wonderful time. I stitched Autumn 1831 on a piece of 40 count Fresco by Picture This Plus, which is a linen that Christine recommended. I'm so glad she did. I loved stitching on this linen. It looks so amazing in person. I can see where it's picking it up a little bit on camera, but in person, it's just a beautiful piece of linen. And I would love to be able to find another spooky stitchy project to stitch on it, or even a wintertime project to stitch on it, because it's just so gorgeous. I love it. So I'm so very happy that she recommended this linen. I also stitched it in the called for threads, and I also did make a substitution. So the flowers are stitched purple. In the chart they're supposed to be white, but they were being very ghosty, and even on the chart you can't see the flowers very well. I mean, you can tell that they're kind of there, but they're very ghosty, and I wanted my flowers to like pop right out. So I ended up stitching it in Classic Colorworks Cauldron. And then for the pumpkin, so the larger pumpkin is supposed to be stitched in the same white that the flowers were, the same white that is the door and windows of the house. And I just opted to stitch it in the same orange that the other pumpkin was. When I pulled the threads to stitch it with, I just kind of made sure that they looked, that different parts of the variegation was showing up than what was in the other pumpkin. So in person, it looks a little bit lighter, but not by much. But I really love it. I think it turned out wonderful. I originally had toyed with the idea of finding a different color of orange, but believe it or not, that was the very last motif I stitched. I pretty much stitched everything else, and then I jumped down and finished that pumpkin, and that was the end. So much fun. I love having this one done, and I love having its companion piece, Christmas in My Heart, which is all framed and ready to go for Christmas this year. So this one, I probably won't be able to frame it for a little while. I need to get Christmas at Hollyberry Farms framed, or get the frame for it. This one, when I go to the vintage mall, I might see if I can find a frame for this one. I don't know what they have there. I'm hoping that they will have reasonably priced vintage frames. And if I also find one for Christmas at Hollyberry Farms, I definitely will get it. But I'm hoping that maybe I'll get lucky and find a frame for this one as well. But if not, I'll probably will wait until sometime in the spring, and then I will find a frame for it at Hobby Lobby. So I love it. Love it, love it. So thank you so very much to Christine for stitching this with me. I had a blast, so thank you. My plans going forward for the rest of the month of November and then into December before I do my next video. What I plan on working on is Thomas. My goal for him is to get him finished by Thanksgiving. And then on Sundays, I'll be working on his Eye on the Sparrow with my friend Michelle. And this month, I definitely have to work on the houses of Hawthorne Hollow. So I neglected this project all of October, and I'm currently working on this block right here. And the goal with this block was just to get it finished by the end of the year. And I was pretty confident that I would be able to meet that goal. And, you know, I started working on it in September. So I had September, October, November, and December. And I thought I definitely will be able to meet my goal. And then I didn't work on it at all in October. And I'm hoping that's not going to be a mistake. But here is where I ended. So I've got the first floor of the house complete. And what I decided to do is I'm going to try to finish everything but the background. So I have the rest of the house to stitch. There's also a little bit of vines that go up the tree that I have already started. And I did start that winding vine. There's some leaves in the tree, and then on the other side, it looks like it could be maybe part of an apple tree. So my plan for November is to try to get the rest of basically to try to get everything but the fill-in of the sky. And then in December, I will spend December filling in the sky. So, fingers crossed, I will be able to do that. I am stitching the houses of Hawthorne Hollow on a piece of 40 count Heritage by Picture This Plus, and I'm using DMC threads, stitching it 1/2. And from what I remember back in September, this block here is one where I'm using all of the called for or recommended DMC threads for this block. So I am curious as to where it's going to go, because I'm definitely not someone who likes the more brighter block, like brighter colors. I tend to, I mean, as you can tell from the whole upper row, I like more muted colors, definitely more muted, deeper, darker colors. So this one's definitely going to be one block that when I finish it, I'm either going to really love how it turned out, or it's going to be one that I don't. So far, I do love the colors of the house. So anyway, so I'm hoping that I will be able to pick this up and work on it and get all of that, all of what I need to get stitched, so that way in December, all I have to do is all of the background fill-in, which is a ton. I know I showed this a few minutes ago, but I had to pause the video because I had a croaky voice. Clearly you can tell that I don't talk very much. Whenever I do these videos, I always feel like I lose my voice by the end of it. But it doesn't look like there's a ton of background stitching, but there is. I mean, there is a lot of stitches in that background. So if I can at least get that one, you know, the whole house, the tree, the apple vines, the bird on top, if I can get that all done by the end of November, I think I'll be able to finish the rest of the block, no problem, by the end of this year. Another project that I have horribly neglected, and it was a stitch along that I was supposed to be participating in weekly, and I was able to do week 1 fine, and then everything fell apart after that. In fact, if I would have stuck with the weekly assignments, this week would have been the last week, and last week would have been the last week, and it would have been done. And that is Hometown Holiday Sampler by Lori Holt. So this was a stitch along, being hosted by the Fat Quarter Shop that I horribly, horribly, horribly failed at, and is definitely a note to self to maybe not participate in any stitch alongs at all ever again, because clearly I cannot do it. I did change all of the threads to my own color conversion. This is the progress that I made before I sort of not necessarily abandoned the project, but set it aside so I could work on Autumn 1831. This is one that I do not want to carry over into the new year, so I would like to get this one done sometime soonish before Christmas. So I'm hoping that in the next 5 weeks, because there will be 5 weeks between cross-stitch updates based on life, I'm hoping that I will at least be able to get what I need to get done and then pick this one up and start working on it, because I would like to get it done before Christmas this year. I am loving the color conversion that I did. So I sort of took it from the bright Christmas colors that were the called for DMC, and I changed them to over-dyed threads from my stash that were a little bit more my style. I'm really, really loving it so far. And I enjoyed working on this one. Each line of alphabet, or even this line of holly, it doesn't take very long when you sit down and begin stitching it, but it's just I had so many other things that I wanted to work on that this one was just kind of an easy one to set to the side. So I am stitching on a piece of 40 count Affogato by Fiber on a Whim, and again I'm using my own thread conversion. It's Gentle Arts, I think, mostly, and probably some weeks. Can't quite remember, and unfortunately I did not bring that information with me. I've had a lot of you guys ask for the color conversion, which is so very wonderful, because that's something that usually when I'm doing like Hawk Hollow, you know, I'll play around a little bit with the DMC, but this is the first time where I took something and completely changed the colors, made them a little bit darker, a little bit more richer, more my style. And, you know, of course, I'm my worst critic, so I, you know, feel like I'm utterly failing. But I do have to admit that with every one of your guys' emails asking for that color conversion, it just totally made my whole day. So thank you, and I hope you guys, if you stitch it, you'll share the pictures with me, because I would love to see your progress. And, you know, again, thank you. I really love it. I do. Again, I'm my own worst critic, so I'm always going to find flaws with everything. And, you know, I wasn't too sure a couple of the colors, but then as I started, you know, filling in more and more, I really, really love how it's turning out. So yes, this is one I definitely want to try to get done by Christmas this year. Sarah Stewart Hardman. Let's talk about her for a minute. So I ended up bumping her last month. I think in my last video, I had showed the progress that I had made, I think the previous month. And right after I did that video, Yvette and I started, we got talking and we decided to bump this one. So we bumped it to November. So this month I need to make sure I assign some assignments, or one assignment for this one, because I would like to get some stitches put in her and get her just a little bit farther along. We've been taking it really easy assignment wise on Sarah, because we both have other projects that we're working on, and also because after we finished Elizabeth Furness, I mean, she's a massive beast, and so this one we've just been kind of taking really easy. So I would like to be able to put some stitches in her this month, but this is the progress that I have on her. So in September I stitched I don't know if that's a peacock or a turkey, and then the words below the bird. That's what we worked on in September. So she is so beautiful, and I cannot wait until eventually I get her finished. She's being stitched on a piece of 36 count vintage buttercream by Lakeside Linens, and I'm using the Classic Colorworks conversion that is listed in the chart, and I'm stitching it 1/2. Except for the line down below the turkey slash peacock, which is 1/1. So love her. So she needs to be figured into my November plans. And then I have one new start that I would like to work on. I don't think I'm going to start this until I definitely get my the segment I need to get done on my Houses of Hawker and Hollow and stitch a little assignment on Sarah. As long as I can get those two done, then I plan on picking up Mary 1 by Plum Street Samplers. So this was one that, you know, I'd gotten some overtime pay and I decided to treat myself by kitting it up. I already had linen in my stash, which is a 36 count oaken, and I am going to use the called for threads. And I think they'll all work really good. I did a floss toss. They seem to play really, really well on the oaken. So hopefully I can just sit down and start stitching. Really excited to work on this one because again, it's another one that has been on that list of mine of things that I want to get stitched. I want to get this stitched for the trench bowl, so it'd be really nice if I was able to complete it sometime around the beginning of December. I think that would be great. So I love it, love it, love it. So those are the plans that I have going forward, at least between today and when I upload my next video, which because of the way Thanksgiving fell this year, I'm ending up going 5 weeks in between my November video and when it comes out in December. So I'll have to go take a peek at the calendar, and at the end of the video I'll say when that next video is going to be. I should have done that before I sat down. I didn't even think about it until like right now. December 21st, I went out, checked the calendar. It's December 21st when my next Flosstube video comes out. And I know it's kind of like, it seems like it's way out there, but it will be here before you know it. I mean, that's 5 weeks from today when I'll be recording that next video. The reason why there's that extra week in between is because of Thanksgiving, because I try to do a Flosstube video, and then 2 weeks later I do a quilting video, and then 2 weeks after that is a Flosstube video. And because of the week of Thanksgiving, that is the reason why everything got bumped out an extra week. Anyway, but that's okay. I also, when I went out in the other room to check the calendar, that big dark black cloud that was hanging over at the beginning of the video, it's all the way to the Cascade Range. And if I would have had my phone with me, I would have taken a picture of it because it's very, very dark. So I'm thinking the Cascades are going to get some snow. I think it was last week, I posted a photo of Yield Trench Bowl. I had a lot of you guys ask about the different smalls in the trench bowl, so I thought I would talk about them here. It's kind of hard sometimes, especially in the case of this one right here. So this was a freebie, and it was so Twin Peaks Primitive is called Thanksgiving. It's a freebie by Twin Peaks Primitives. However, I didn't do the whole design. I just did the turkeys, the pumpkin, and then it says Thanksgiving at the bottom. But there is a whole sampler that goes with it. And so there was a little bit of confusion when people were going to look for it because they would just see the, you know, the other parts of it. And, you know, I didn't see the, you know, the little part that I had just done. I did this, gosh, it's been several years ago now that I stitched this one. I did it right before Thanksgiving. I stitched it in, I think, DMC. The two turkeys are a different color of DMC because I made a boo-boo. And I stitched this one, I stitched the pumpkin, and for whatever reason, I have no idea, I stitched it in the wrong color. I don't know what I did, but I love how it turned out. I love the two turkeys being in, you know, two different shades of brown. I don't remember the linen I used. It would have been a leftover piece of linen from another project. I finished it into a skinny small. I used some fabric left over from a quilt, attached a rusty bead. I filled it with polyester fiber fill. I love how it turned out. Occasionally I do have to adjust the bow because it's not perfect, but I like it. The next small in the trench bowl is called Pumpkins and Bittersweet by the Scarlet House. I stitched it on a piece of 40 count caramel by Seraphim Fabrics. It was a leftover piece from another project. And I stitched it with the called for threads, and I stitched it 1/2. I remember stitching on this one. It was so much fun. And it was kind of one where I just decided to stitch it just one day. I'm like, I'm gonna stitch it, and I did. And I love it. I did end up stuffing it with a little bit of sawdust, and there's also polyester fiber fill in there too. Very simple finish. There's no trim, no nothing. I just wanted the stitches to, you know, have their moment and didn't want to put anything else with it. So I love how this one turned out, and it sits right at the beginning of the trench bowl. I love it. The next small is called Pumpkin Hollow by Homespun Prims by Lori. I stitched this one a couple of years ago with my friend Tina. I did have to make a little, I had to tweak it a little bit because the pattern is, so it's called pumpkin, but pumpkin is spelled P-U-M-K-I-N. And if I would have left it, if I would have stitched it that way, every time somebody saw it, they would wonder why I had misspelled pumpkin. And I, quite honestly, and this is because of the whole Q debacle in a sampler, whenever I stitch a sampler or whenever I post any sampler, it doesn't matter what it is, there's always somebody who immediately points out that it's missing the Q. And I was so frustrated over a sampler that I had finished. When I got to this one, I decided I don't want to listen to any of that. So I altered the pattern so that way I could completely correctly spell out the word pumpkin. And Tina did the same thing for pretty much the same reasons. Even my family would point it out, and hers would as well, that it was misspelled, and I just didn't want to listen to that. So we altered our pumpkin and spelled it correctly. Even though I absolutely love the way that Lori charted it, I love, you know, the pumpkin. I loved it, but it was just, I didn't want to listen to that. I also, down here, I changed it out, so it said our last name, and then my husband and I were married in November of 1998, so I put the year 1998 there, and I love it. It's so sweet, and I love getting this one out for the past couple of years. I just love it. So very happy to have that one in the trench bowl. I wish I could remember what it is I stitched it in. I want to say it was Picture This plus Dill, because I remember, I don't know if that's correct. I don't know if this is the one that was stitched in Dill, but I just remember one of the smalls I did is stitched in Picture This plus Dill, which has been discontinued by Picture This Plus, and it happens that it's probably one of my favorite linens, and I wish it was not discontinued because there's so many things I would stitch in it. Oh well. Maybe someday they will bring it back as like a special edition, and when it does, I'm gonna buy it in bulk. The last small in the trench bowl is called Give Thanks by Country Rustic Primitives, and I think I stitched this one back in 2020. I loved working on it. It was so much fun. It did not take very long to stitch it. It is very well stuffed with polyester fiber fill, and the only decoration I did to it was to attach a rusty pin. I love it. So the last couple of years that I've been able to get this one out and have it in the trench bowl, I just have loved it. And I'm so very happy that I stitched it. I remember it stitched up really, really fast. So if you're looking for some sort of small for your own trench bowl or your dough bowl, or just to have a little Thanksgiving small, I definitely can recommend this one. DMC threads, you could very easily just pull it from stash if you wanted to, with over dyed. Such a fun and quick project. I love that primitive turkey. I just love everything about this piece. I don't remember what I stitched it on. I think it was a 32 count. It is stitched 2/2 with DMC, but unfortunately I just don't remember what it was that I stitched it with, other than I know, I'm pretty positive it was stitched on a piece of 32 count that I had in my stash at the time. So that is Ye Olde Trench Bowl. Now I'm just hoping that I can put it all back together, because a lot of these are just kind of perched in here, and the slightest movement, like a dog going 80 miles an hour right next to the table, will knock them off. So Ye Olde Trench Bowl. The last finish from the past that I'm going to show today was the one that was over behind my shoulder, and it is called Old Tom Turkey by Tina Woltman, Early Workings. This one, as far as I know, is very much out of print. A few years ago, I had heard that she was working on an Etsy shop, but I don't know whatever came of that. You know, maybe she decided not to. I'm just so very glad that the pattern was shared with me from a friend, and I'm so very grateful that she did, because I remember stitching on Tom, and I love it. I love him. I just love it all. So I worked on this. I'm pretty positive it was last year. The frame is one I had in my stash that just happened to be the perfect size for him. I want to say I stitched it on a piece of 32 count, and I did use the called for threads, which I believe were DMC threads. I love them. I think it turned out so wonderful. I did have one little quilted finish, and this one I shared in my last quilt tube, but because the next time I film a quilt video, it'll be all the quilts of Christmas, and this one will be packed away. I thought I would share it today. And that is Flowers of Autumn by Timeless Traditions, Norma Whaley. And I started this one back in September. I ordered the kit from Norma Whaley's website, Timeless Traditions, and it came, and I was able to put the quilt top together really quickly. All of her quilts come pre-cut, ready to go, except for if you have a part like this, then it'll just have the fabrics, and it'll tell you what to, how to cut those out. So the quilt top went together really, really quick. I was able to do it in an afternoon, and then that left the hand applique. And that's where it took me forever. I was able to finally finish the applique, and yesterday I threw it up on my quilt machine and I quilted it. So in these larger areas, I just did a simple stipple, and then on my sewing machine, I just did a stitch in the ditch around the applique pieces, and then I went around the applique pieces. I just shadowed them, just sort of to tack them down. I'm so super thrilled I have it done. I just have to put the binding on, so I'm hoping to maybe attach it later today or tomorrow or possibly next Sunday. But I loved working on this one. It was so much fun. I love all of the gorgeous colors, and Norma's patterns are the absolute best. Highly, highly recommend. And if you're looking for a Thanksgiving quilt kit, this one is perfect. And even autumn. I mean, it's not necessarily Thanksgiving, just an autumn quilt. If you're looking for one, if you like hand applique, definitely recommend. For the applique pieces, I use the Applique method, and the tools you can pick up from Olivia B's Etsy shop, Hillside Rookery. And I really, really am enjoying the Applique tool method. I love it. I love it. So can't say enough good things about the Applique method. So if you're all interested, Olivia B has a couple of videos out about the tools, and then you can also purchase them from her Etsy shop. But Flowers of Autumn, Timeless Traditions, Norma Whaley, if you're all interested, I'll put a link to her website. She also has some amazing, fabulous other quilt patterns, quilt kits to choose from. There are a couple that are on my short list that I would love to be able to get. So maybe after Christmas, after all of that's over, I might, definitely one of them I have my eye on. So anyway, definitely go check out. I'll put a link to her website down below. In my last video, I showed that I purchased Scary 2. I had made a little bit of extra overtime, and so I had kitted it up, and I've already stitched it and it's ready to be fully finished. But my friend Kim contacted me and told me she had an extra copy of Scary 1, and so she sent it to me, and I cannot wait to start working on this one. I have a plan for next year when it comes to smalls for Yield Trench Bowl, and so this one is one of the ones that I will be stitching next year, and I can't wait. And it was so sweet of Kim to send it to me. She also included the trim that goes around the piece, so I'm so excited to stitch on it. Thank you again so very much to Kim. And in her note, she said, I hope the Chiefs get their three-peat, and I hope so too. and I watched their last game, and I was one of the many fans that thought we were going to lose, and a miracle happened right at the end, and we ended up winning, and it was just such an amazing game. But I hope they get their three-peat, because that would be so cool to have them be Super Bowl champions again. But thank you so very much, Kim, for sending that to me. I can't wait to start working on it. And again, I have plans next year, which I'll talk about in one of the first videos of the new year of what I plan on doing, what my smalls plan for the year is. So this is one that's going in with that bunch, and I'm super excited. And then I received a couple of gifts, and the first one still blows me away that she sent it to me, but Kelly, she had contacted me after my last video, and she had a little something that she wanted to send to me. And when it came, I was just so, I'm still speechless that she made this for me. But here it is. So this is rug hooking. So she rug hooked this project. It is a pattern by Homespun Prims by Lori, I think she said. I think that's what she said. If I will put the correct information down below, because she did tell me who the designer of this pattern is. But I still can't believe she sent it to me. I'm still speechless. The amount of work that goes into this it's just a work of art, and I absolutely love this, and I'm going to cherish it always. I've been moving it kind of around the house since it came in the mail, because I like to see it just kind of in different areas, and then I just like to be able to see it. So I love it. I have a feeling this is going to be left out year round. I just love it. So thank you so very much, Kelly. I've already been in contact with her, and I'm so speechless that she made this for me. I love it. I love it so much. I'm going to always cherish it. It's just so beautiful. And I keep pinching myself. I've had this for a couple of weeks, and I love it. It's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I love it. Love it. So I definitely, I need to find a way to make sure I display this. I'm trying to figure out if I should put it in a frame or if I just should leave it out, because I did a Pinterest search finding out how people display their rug hooked finishes, and they're finished all different ways. So I want to find some way that I can display this and have it out year round, because I just love it. It's so beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. I just love it. Oh, so thank you, Kelly. I love it. It's so beautiful. Your workmanship is it's amazing. It's perfection. So thank you. I love it so much. I also received 2 gift cards. Both of them have just absolutely blown me away. The first gift card comes from my friend Fran. She got me a gift card to Sassy Jack Stitchery. So I've been perusing their website for the last couple of days, finding just the perfect project to use my gift card on. And thank you so very much, Fran. It was so very generous of you. And I've already been in contact with Fran. She's an amazing stitcher. I follow her on Instagram. Beautiful, beautiful stitcher. And I'm so very blessed that she gifted that to me. It was just so sweet. And then the other day, I just got to work, and I was, I think it was so it would have been on Saturday. And I remember I was walking out to get ready, because I was helping to stock the store. And we always have a list of things that we need to do. And so I was on my way out to, you know what? Maybe I was on my way out to get bread, and they keep the bread in the freezer. And I went out there and discovered I had to climb over the ice pallet to get to the bread. But anyway, I was on my way out there, and I was kind of feeling a little melancholy, a little bit. And I received a text message from my friend Christine, and she told me that Constance had given me a gift card or a gift certificate to Christine's Etsy shop for my birthday. So that was so sweet. Constance, thank you so very much. It totally brightened my whole entire day. And I can't wait to find just the perfect project to use the gift certificate for. So thank you so very much. It was so sweet of you to think of me for my birthday. So thank you so much. Well, friends, that brings me to the end of today's video. And if you've stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very much. I do very much appreciate you. The plan going forward for me will be to be back in 5 weeks. So I hope you will come back by and see what I have been up to. The background behind me will be changed out to Christmas. I celebrate the holidays as they come, so this behind me, it will stay up until after Thanksgiving, and then I will make the swap out to Christmas. I'm looking forward to it because I do enjoy decorating all of the trees that I put out because, again, I love Christmas trees. So that I have quite a few of them that I put out, and especially right in here, you know, I've got this tree and then there's another tree, and then I think there's a lot of like it's just trees and Santas and, you know, white snowy chapels is what I tend to decorate in. So I'm looking forward to getting that all out, but I do really enjoy the background as it is right now. I love it. So I hope you'll come back, see what I've been working on. I will have the, what progress I've made, and then I'll share some of the finishes of Christmas Past. So I hope you come back, check that out. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And if you would like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. I do have a Facebook page called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting, and I'll put a link to both of those places down below. Thank you so very much for stopping by today, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.